Hi.
Hello.
Today we are going to talk about some gift ideas for kids, mostly preschool age, so that 2 through 6 range of ideas of ways to work on speech and language with some Christmas ideas or Hanukkah ideas. Because I know a lot of my friends have personally asked me what are some things that I can get them for Christmas that will help their speech and language. So kind of the first thing to talk about is that there is no trick or specific thing that is going to help promote their speech and language, unfortunately. So, really just spending time with your kids, but, interacting with them, labeling words. We have lots of other videos that kind of talk about, specific ways to promote vocabulary and get kids talking and things like that. But we're just going to talk about some of our favorite things, maybe some things we're going to get our kids this holiday season, and, go from there. So if you have any questions or comments about things that you are, wondering, will it be good for speech or language, you can feel free to ask that too.
How you would use it or something. Let us know. Okay, am I up first?
Sure.
Okay, so lots of great ways to promote if your child is working on any kind of speech sounds, or you're just really trying to work on their oral motor skills at all. Let's say they're just have a concern with that or something. You can use one of these little echo microphones. Hello. Make lots of silly sounds with these. You could get them a whistle just to blow.
We know you want to have that.
Oh my gosh, I know it's probably going to be a little irritating for the parents. However, this is really good to promote just the, that more mature, the blowing, and also drinking from a straw. That's another great one. That's not really a toy, but rather than a sippy cup, that's a whole other one.
Straw cups for Christmas, stocking stuffer. I literally asked for cups from my mother-in-law today.
Why have we not talked about this? No sippy cups. Sorry, I'm getting off task. Blowing bubbles, or even just you can blow feathers, any kind of thing like that you probably use a lot of these.
Party horns. Mm-hmm. Those are fun stuff. Stocking stuffers you can get from the Dollar Tree. Those kinds of things are easy things that you can just throw in there. It's just going to encourage them to really feel how their mouth moves and, just get coordination that doesn't have anything to do with actually maybe talking, just having that motor coordination a little bit more.
There's a link I'm going to put to a blog post in the comments later, and it's from this blog. I think it's Playing with Words 365, but she talks about just a mirror. Just getting, if they don't have one, get a little handheld mirror, and just having your kid play at making facial expressions and moving their mouth, or different mouth movements, O, E, vowels, things like that. Just kind of playing around with how their mouth moves and see if they can imitate those.
Or an electric toothbrush. I have recommended that to families where they just don't seem to have that awareness. So kind of rubbing their teeth and, just making them feel that vibration of the toothbrush a little bit can be a good cheap, instead of a tool that we have tools as therapists that are $60 for vibration, but an electronic toothbrush vibrate, so you
make
probably,
kid ones that are probably a little bit less expensive too.
Yeah, do that. And one thing I'm definitely getting my 3-year-old is just craft supplies. So we know they always run out. You're always going to be using stickers and things like that. So stickers, stamps, sometimes things that they need to ask for help with to get open is a good way to suggest things. I personally love using paint daughters at home and with therapy because, for one, it's way less messy than using regular paint. So who doesn't love that? But also, it helps with the motor control a little bit, and they have to ask to open the lid or things like that versus just putting paint, and then they don't really, they can maybe ask for more, things like that. But it's just so much, so much cleaner. And there's some really cute dot coloring pages, or if your kids are currently in speech and they get our tick cards, you withhold the card and maybe have them, do paint dot or each one. Versus a crayon, sometimes they're so interested in getting every single detail with a crayon that it's you're not really working on speech, you're just working coloring. So a paint dotter, they're not going to be as specific because they can't. So they can kind of just dot it and move on to the next card.
Yep. There was some other.
I'll get to something else.
So some other things you can work on, we have these cool little what are they called? Shape sorters. Thank you. You can work a lot on in and out. This is obviously shape concepts too. They're different colors. So depending on how old your child is, obviously you're going to work on motor skills too. So if a child has difficulty with kind of placing those things in and matching, visual, perception kind of stuff. But you can talk about all those concepts, in, out, the colors and things like that.
Yeah, and what she was saying, there's something else. Just kind of like these sort of little foam crafts and things like that, you know, give them this and then hide it so that once Christmas, the excitement of Christmas is over, you whip out this and you have a craft to do that day. You know, you can get these at Hobby Lobby or, you know, even sometimes the dollar spot has stuff that's craft related. So it's kind of fun to just kind of keep some of those things for later so that it is something new and fun for them to do.
Especially in the winter when we're like, we can't always send the kids outside to play. Like that's something nice to kind of just like sit at the table and do. Other things we have, so there's a lot of toys out there that like require building and kind of like putting together. So you know, like kids love Legos, they love blocks, they love all those things. This kind of toy is really cool. I was actually kind of looking at some of these for some of my nieces and nephews. So it's like this Motorworks, but they make a lot of these where you have to you have the tool, rather, the little screwdriver, and then there's like...
It actually works. You can push it, and it's a drill.
Screwdriver, drill, and you can like take it all apart. Like this whole toy comes apart, and they can put it together however they want. There's multiple vehicles and all of that. So that kind of thing, you know, you can...
Kids that like puzzles might like this because they can figure out how it works and goes together. And
exactly. Yeah, you can talk a lot about like how does it go together and like kind of that problem solving process and like talking about it.
Sometimes I have a hard time putting these together. So
it's probably
we're problem solving together.
Problem solving with mom and dad too. So there's a lot of good like exploratory vocabulary happens in those moments when mom and dad are just like, well, let's try this and or I wonder. That's a good like always good thought. Like
I wonder if this will fit here.
So really encouraging them.
Or
to
like,
think
I wonder
about
if this goes on this one or this one because somebody took all of them apart and they're not in separate bags.
Absolutely.
Another thing is Play-Doh. Again, that's another thing that eventually runs out or gets dry. I know, you know, we have Play-Doh that doesn't get closed all the way. So Play-Doh, but think about like manipulatives that you could put into the Play-Doh that might make it a little bit more fun. So, you know, I know Hobby Lobby, shout out to Hobby Lobby apparently, has, or even Target I think has tubes of like these little animals.
Different creatures.
Kids love to just like hide things in there. So this is farm stuff, so you can talk about different farm animals while you're playing with the Play-Doh.
The other thing with that is with those vehicles, if you just get like cars, I mean like making tracks in the Play-Doh, that could turn into a really fun activity too.
Yeah. Or one thing I did recently with a client that was working on Final End for the pan is we got some of our like kitchen stuff out and we like put Play-Doh in the cupcake pan to, you know, make it so kind of you can use Play-Doh with maybe some of your other toys that you already have and mix it in. So
the other thing about Play-Doh is too, like, just be careful that you're not just like, here, you play by yourself. The other thing that's big about all these toys that we're talking about is if you're playing with your child, that's what's going to be huge. That's what's going to really work on their speech and language skills because you are giving them your attention. And we're going to talk about that a little bit at the end. But so something like this, like talking about what you're doing, you know, you commenting like, oh man, I'm going to smash it, you know, smash the Play-Doh. What are you going to do to the Play-Doh? Maybe he's going to push or poke holes, like all those different action words. I mean, you talking about all those things and then having your child kind of talk about it, that's what's really going to get them engaged in using those vocabulary skills.
Yeah, you might have noticed that most of these toys so far don't have any fancy lights or sounds. You know, like the Motorworks thing, it is an actual working drill, but you know, that's kind of the trick to speech and language is that we are providing it, you know, and kids they really don't attend to, you know, the automated voices. That's not what's really interesting to them. They might like the music, you know, like some stuff has really good music and they'll dance to it and things like that, but that's not where they're learning the vocabulary. It's through that interaction, you know, of playing back and forth with a toy or requesting things or you labeling them, that sort of thing.
Absolutely. So some books that are out there, any kind of book that has, we've talked about this before with books, lots of books that have, you know, these movement pieces or, you know, there's a ton of like the Lift a Flap books out there. This is a little different because it's kind of got this little slide. So this is for a little bit younger, like toddler age, just to be able to use that kind of pointer finger to move the different pieces. Other things that involving books, other books that we could use to just talk about more personalized. This is a book, so my daughter's name is Zoe. So we personalized this book, My Name Is Not Zoe. It's really cute. It talks about like a lot of female icons, I guess you could say, that little girls could look up to. So she says, I'm not Zoe, I'm Annie Oakley, I'm Rosa Parks, I'm, you know, all these different people. So it's just really cute because it's personalized for her. It has her name in it. But the other thing about this personalization is you can make so many of those photo books on a million different apps, Shutterfly, whatever. Or even, what's the app I where the pictures get printed.
Oh, Chapbook, and then
what's the other one? I forget.
Groovebook.
Groovebook.
Yeah, we have that
you
too.
just print the pictures. Nobody prints pictures these days.
Groovebook's like $3 a month, so it's not crazy expensive.
But kids love to look at themselves and look at themselves doing different things. I mean, they're very self-centered. That's just, it's okay. But they love, that personalization. So anything like that can just be like a quick, easy thing that you can just pull it out and talk about, or like make a book for a different trip, or whatever.
Or just print the pictures and put them in an old school photo album.
Yeah.
It's going to be super
absolutely.
cheap, but they're going to love that. And that you're okay with them ripping, or if they pull the picture out and they're messing it up, you have a duplicate copy of your picture, so that you're okay with it being their book that they play with and they enjoy.
And the other thing that we've talked about with books is like it's okay to retell and talk about it again and again, because all of that repetition, it's just going to really solidify all those concepts and help them remember and recall, and like all of these like auditory memory things. Those are all really great communication skills.
And they can work on pronouns. Like sometimes using that I pronoun is really hard for kids, or it's hard to work on that. If it's a picture of them, that kind of lends to them using that I pronoun. So, there's so many things you can work on with pictures. Yeah, so I think the one that had the slide was Usborne, and then this is also an Usborne book that I love. It's called All Better, and, my two-year-old had loved it, and now she's 3, still loves it. And basically, it's removable Band-Aids that are you reuse them, and, the animal falls and hurts himself, and then you have to put the Band-Aid on. So each page has its own, Band-Aid for the animal. So this would be great for some of those kids that are working on some of those simple sounds like bees for boo-boo or something like that. Just really interactive. These are the things that are going to keep a child engaged in a book if you're having a hard time getting them to stay for a long time. Same with these puppet type books. We have some really small ones that have just one animal as a fish or a crab or something like that. Or this one's Curious George. It also has a song, so sing-songy books for those kids that have a hard time staying, that really might like some of that music and that rhythm. It keeps them staying with the book a little bit longer, so that can be really cute.
The other thing that we haven't really talked about yet is just a lot of like pretend play. I don't have a ton of manipulatives, but this is just like a little Daniel Tiger set. Any of those little kind of sets, like a Princess Castle, or even Mr. Potato Head. What else?
Farm,
the farm house. Yeah, all of those little pretend play. Those are all really great for communication skills. Again, like if you're sitting down with your child and you're playing with them, then you're using a lot of these great models of language, and you're talking about what you're doing. And I keep saying talking about what you're doing because we don't want to like rapid fire question at your kids. So you're talking about it, and then you're modeling all this really great language for them, and just pretending and just really getting into it. So any of those, just again, like Allie said, things that are not necessarily light up and buttons, but just like pretend play, using their imagination.
This is kind of a cute pretend play. Beth has this, and just putting things in there, and you get to actually. Oh wait, I turned off.
Hold on. Mix. Yeah.
How cute is that? So, just a pretend kitchen. If you're looking for a big gift, that is like kind of my first thing that we got for when my daughter was, I think, 1. And in the beginning, she just liked, opening and closing the doors and putting the food in and out. But as she got older, closer to 2, she started to pretend to cook. Did our power just go out? Oh.
Did our lights go off in the room?
It's live! Oh, there we go. I was like, no.
Oh, boy.
We just weren't moving enough in this video, apparently.
The door was in front of the sensor.
Oh my gosh. Anyway, so, as they get older, they start to use it in a more complex way and pretend, to actually cook for someone or, be a waitress or that sort of thing.
Yeah, I've used this before with, in speech, we like to use, like, sensory boxes. So I have, like, a box that has, like, noodles and stuff, and then my kids get to, like, put the noodles in and actually mix. So any kind of, like, little manipulative would work. But the other thing I was going to say about the kitchens, too, is that is something that is so functional because we eat how many times a day?
Yeah.
If you're my children,
They actually see you doing it. Yeah.
And they see you do this all day long. I mean, most of the time, when you're together. So it's something that's very meaningful for them because we do it so often throughout their day. So that's why it's just a great opportunity for play and for them to kind of pretend and take ownership.
And, let's be honest, most of our kids are probably not eating eggplant and, all these vegetables all the time. So
asparagus.
It's truly giving them exposure to things that they might not be, interacting with through meals every day. But, just more exposure to those words and things like that will help them learn some things. And, maybe someday eventually they will try broccoli or one of those.
Do you have anything
Yeah.
Running out of,
Yeah, do you want to talk about those?
Yeah. Sorry, we have lots of things to show you
so
guys.
many.
So a couple other ideas for slightly older children. These little like story cubes, they're like little dice. They're really cute. So, I'm gonna drop them all over the floor. So you can like change the story as you go, and each of the little pictures kind of has a different meaning to like make the story. So they're just really fun if your child is working on like either sequencing or retelling. And just again,
Or I'd use those a lot in when we're trying to carry over a sound to conversation. If they're trying to not have them think about it so much and just be more natural. They're kind of so focused on telling the story that then it gives you more opportunity to remind them to do their sound.
Yeah, absolutely. This one is another little game about just like telling a story. So it's probably more like you draw the picture and then you kind of talk about like, there was the baby was riding the motorcycle. I mean, I don't know, something silly, but it's so random, it kind of forces them to
And they love telling silly stories. Like that's, it's super fun to them that this doesn't make any sense. So,
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Hilarious.
This is another one that I brought from home that I just love the manipulatives of it. It works on fine motor is really great. And, you can talk about open close. You can talk about who is behind the door. You can do, just so many things with this. Lock and unlock for K, colors, numbers, counting.
Yeah.
Jinx. What else did we talk about with this? I don't know. So many fun things.
You can like hide other pictures in there. I
Oh,
can't
yeah.
open it now.
Yeah.
You can hide a picture.
Yeah, hide our tick cards that maybe, your therapist has sent home that, okay, you're sick of playing matching or something, So you hide it in there and when they open it, they get to say the word. That's kind of fun.
Yeah,
or just talking about the actions like pulling and closing and, sliding and, talking about some of those action words that, you might just not be labeling as much as you do the verbs or the nouns. Verbs are a little harder to think of how you're going to label, so that could be fun.
And using the different like tenses too, like when you're all done, present tense, past tense, all that stuff. So we've thrown a lot of information at you guys. The last thing that I'm going to talk really quickly about, it's going to be in the link at the bottom. Like I said, this Playing with Words 365, I don't remember the therapist's name. I think her name is Katie, maybe. So she has this list of like 25 different ideas, a lot of the things that we've mentioned. But some of the most important that she mentioned at the very end are, three different things. So if your child, you get them a new present and then all they want to play with is the box, that's kind of it happens often, right? That's okay. I mean, sometimes just like giving them a big box to like play in and hide in and whatever, like that's really great opportunities for imagination again, crawling in, crawling out of the box.
Or coloring the box and making it into a rocket.
Right, yeah, making it into something new, like all really great opportunities to use those communication skills. The other thing is, I know lots of people love to give things to children, but another great suggestion that we sometimes give is just like giving an experience kind of gift. So maybe, in our family, my mom gets my kids the Zoo membership so that we can use that all year long and we get
Magic House
gift membership,
Science
Center, Myzium. So that can be a really great gift.
Toy Time, or I don't know, is it still called that anymore? It's like Playtime or something. The Chesterfield Mall is a really cute place.
Yeah, so giving them experience gifts like that where families can go and use them over and over again, it can kind of keep giving. And then obviously, we kind of touched on this, but lastly, when you're playing with these toys with your children, the most important thing is your time, your attention, your undivided attention, I should say. Because if you're just kind of like sitting next to them and you're on your phone, you're not really engaged, and your children are going to learn best when they're engaged with you. So I know we are all busy and we have lots of things going on and the holidays.
Hey, we're therapists and I still sit on my phone sometimes.
We know,
we
know, but just try to make a concerted effort to like sit down and play. And I think it's fun too. Like for us, that's what I love, to be able to just sit down and play and have fun with my kids and be silly and be goofy,
Say yes. I think that's one thing that we as parents, I get into that of like, no, I'm going to do that later. Or you can do that. Go do that by yourself. Try to think about, okay, one time when they say, can you come and do this with me? Say yes. And that really, I've tried to kind of change my mentality about that recently because I felt like I personally was just always saying, I need to do the dishes or there's always going to be something else to do,
Absolutely.
But just try to say yes that one time and sit down with them and play, and that's really where they're going to change their, improve their speech and language.
Yeah, and you see a difference in your children too. Like you see them light up. Like that's what they want. They just want that attention. They want that interaction with you. So
yeah.
Okay, if there's any other questions, don't forget to like add them in the comments. We can always do it. We'll do another one next week. So I don't know what our theme is, but
It's a surprise.
we'll surprise you.
And then also, I believe it was Leaps and Bounds shared a kind of idea or a list of what are games and what kind of domains they work on. So fine motor, gross motor, cognitive, social, things like that. So I'll put that in the comments as well. And so you can maybe get a list for some games for some older kiddos from that too. I know most of these were for younger. So that might be another good resource for some of those true like board games and things on there. So
Yeah. Oh, you know what I didn't even talk about? Games.
Oh.
No.
Yeah.
Side note.
Side note, games.
For older children, sorry, I set something on this. This is just one example of a game, Sneaky Snacky Squirrel. But there's so many games out there. And if your child is kind of, my daughter is about 4 now, and so I feel like we're kind of transitioning from like just toys to more games where you're learning, you know, educational games. There's so many different ones.
Pop the Pig
Pop the
is
Pig,
fun.
but the company I was thinking of is Peaceable Kingdom makes these like cooperative games where the kids have to really work together. So there's just so many of them out there that you can look for. So,
Oh.
okay.
All right.
I think that's everything.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, everybody.
I think this was our first, like, true, lots of people watched video, so hopefully everyone
Thanks
liked
for
it.
joining us. Bye.
Bye.